everyone. In the last video I introduced an etude in double stops. In this video I would like to work on Wohlfahrt number 3, which is single notes, and I would like to explain how and why it's helpful to practice that in double stops. You see, the basis of Ruggiero Ricci's method is the fact that if you're playing just one note, you can't tell if it's in tune because you don't have a point of reference. So if I'm playing this E, it could be in tune or it could not be in tune, depending on how my violin is tuned. Only when I compare it to the open E string, I tell that it's too flat. So I can correct it. So basically you can only tell if you really are playing in tune if you can compare it to a fixed point of reference, which is usually an open string. So that's basically what we're going to work on today. So to organize your intonation, what you do is you basically work through the whole etude using open strings as drones most of the time. Sometimes you use a stopped note. I'll go into that when we get to that. So basically you start off finding your fourth finger E and comparing it to the open E string. Take your time over that. It's got to be in tune. Doesn't matter how long it takes. And then you continue, first of all, using the open E string as a drone. Take special care for the fourths. And now use the open D string. Make sure the octave's in tune. And now for the fourth finger A, use the open A string. And then use the G string. Keep the G down, the third finger G, keep it down, because that's better for the first finger B, and you need it again. Keep the third finger G down again, also for the C. Take special care over this fourth. And now use the A string again. And now use the G string again. Keep the G down. D. Keep the D down. So basically those are the open strings you use. First of all, if you have a choice of open strings, use the one which fits best harmonically, because that makes it easier to hear. That's the one which sounds nicer, so it's easy to find. And sometimes when it fits best harmonically, like I just showed, it's a good idea to keep a finger of which you already know it's in tune, like this G. You've compared it to the open G string, so now that one's in tune, so you can use that as a drone. And here again, keep the D down, use that as a drone. So try to be as harmonic as you possibly can, because that helps training your ear. The reason Ricci's method is so unbelievably effective is because you're working at several things at the same time. So, like for example this, besides teaching you accurate intonation, you're also teaching your hand a correct hand position. Especially when you're using a higher string as a drone, your fingers are forced to build a bridge over the higher string. For example, in the beginning when you have all four fingers have to build a bridge over the open E string, so you're forced to put your fingers down round. So instead of having to watch out that you put your fingers down round, you don't have a choice but to do it because you won't be able to hear the E string. So it's like an autocorrection. It's fantastic. The other thing is if you're putting down several fingers in this part, for example, you're practicing a fourth between third and second finger. That's very, very good for the hand position because your hand will memorize this fourth. So when you have a fourth, it will know where it is. So those are additional benefits of this method, which are fantastically helpful for the left hand. Plus, it's very helpful for the bow to always play on 2 strings. I think I mentioned that in some previous video, because you have to be much more precise if you have your bow on 2 strings than if you have your bow only on 1 string. If you have your bow only on 1 string, you have quite a lot of possibilities before you hit another string. If you have your bow on 2 strings, you don't. So without even working at bow technique, your right hand becomes more and more precise. So these are fantastic benefits of this method. I've also found that by practicing things this way, I practice nearly everything this way. By practicing things this way, I actually learn pieces and etudes faster. The reason is because you often have several fingers down at the same time, and even when you're using open strings as drones, you're practicing the finger memory and you're practicing the relationship of the fingers to each other and the relationship of the notes to each other, and somehow that seems to help to learn things faster. Very important is, which I mention every time, so I'll mention it again, take plenty of time to hear and correct. Stay on the note until it's in tune. It doesn't matter how long it takes, particularly if you're starting off with this. So stay on the note until it's in tune. Give yourself plenty of time to hear and to correct. And very, very important, always practice with a big full sound. Use lots of bows so you have the sound aspect is very important. Practice with a big full sound using lots of bow. The reason why that's important, first of all, the bigger and more beautiful your sound, the more easy it is to hear the intonation. And the other thing is that way you're practicing sound without separately having to practice sound. Because our biggest problem is that we never have enough practicing time. It doesn't matter whether you're a professional or whether you're an amateur, you never have enough practicing time. If you're a professional, you don't have enough practicing time because you're busy doing other things like teaching and rehearsing and making videos. And if you're an amateur, you usually have a job to do, so you never have enough practicing time for this instrument. So it's important to practice effectively. So the more you can practice several things at once, the better for your violin playing. Besides practicing this etude in double stops, which is something I do every time I practice an etude, once you can play it, it's a good idea to practice it with various different bowings. Wohlfahrt gives a lot of bowing examples for his first 3 etudes. The music is available on IMSLP. I'll include the link in the description. And so once you can play it, practice it with as many different bowings as you can think of. The reason this is good, besides that you're practicing bowings, is that by practicing different bowings, you're taking concentration away from your left hand, which means your left hand has to move more and more automatically. And that's what violin playing is about. Violin playing, most of your concentration, at least 70%, is on your bow. So your left hand has to move automatically. So by practicing an etude like this with various different bowings, that's what you're practicing. So I can recommend that as well. I've included a playing through of this etude at a moderate speed at the end of this video, just in case it's helpful for you. Hope you enjoyed this.